Hello everybody, my name is Vita and I am the leader of the Millennium High School STEM Club. This video is going to be all about pollination and pollinators, and I hope you guys enjoy.
Hi, so I'm here to talk about pollination. So pollination is the process of pollen from a flower's anther to a stigma. The pollen then fertilizes the flower, leading to seed and fruit growth. The anther is the male reproductive system of the flower, while the stigma is the female reproductive system. So there are two types of pollination. There's one called cross-pollination, where the pollen from a flower being transformed to another flower. And then there's also self-pollination, which is when the pollen is being transferred from the anther to the stigma from the same flower.
So pollinators are organisms that move pollen from one flower to another. They assist in a plant's reproduction by taking the stigma's pollen and interacting with the anther. Some examples of pollinators are insects, animals, and even the wind. Pollination is also beneficial for pollinators because they're able to get sustenance from the nectar that they drink.
Pollinators can be insects, animals, and even the wind. For example, butterflies, bees, bats, moths, and lizards are all types of pollinators.
Why is pollination so important? Well, it leads to fertilization, seed development, and fruit production. And without pollination, if they didn't exist, there would be no greenery or produce. And with no vegetables, there would be no food to feed our animals or ourselves. And also, parks and other natural landscapes would be barren and boring.
So pollination is actually a year-long process as certain flowers bloom at different times, so there's a constant food supply. But during the day, there are different pollinators. So some, such as bees and wasps, pollinate during the day when it's all nice and sunny, and some nocturnal creatures, such as bats and moths, pollinate during the night.
Okay, so where does pollination actually take place? Pollination happens in the flowering plants, and the weather needs to be warm and sunny, and there needs to be a water source for them to energize themselves. And a diverse arrangement of flowers with different blooming times can ensure a consistent food source for the pollinators. And a few examples of these suitable environments would be forests, grasslands, and farmlands.
There are many ways to save pollinators, especially from home. For example, planting native plants such as lavender, zinnias, and sunflowers. Those would attract the pollinators and give them sustenance. Also, you can create areas for pollinators, like, for example, bird feeders and water sources. Make sure to change those out so mosquitoes don't grow. And also create some habitats, such as bee boxes. And that's about it.